Tex, are you ready? Good. Okay, let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, good evening. Board President to advise members of the audience that they may address the board regarding agenda items after the superintendent's report. Among those members whose names and addresses are listed on the sign-in sheet available prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized during the business. The chairperson will limit discussions of any item by the public to 3 minutes in order for the board to expeditiously conduct its business. Mr. Dolan.
New mics, old glasses. Welcome, everyone. Tonight, we have a very special presentation during the first part of my report. And I think it's a good way to start moving forward again. Tonight, we've asked, on all levels, our STEAM and robotics students and their teachers, their guides, to make a presentation in addition to a robotics team that is not officially affiliated with the school district, but is an outgrowth of what we do in school. And the thing, people hear robotics and they think what you see there, the actual robots. But really what STEAM and robotics does is it's creating a modern classroom where students work in groups collectively to have, take a dream, make a plan, build it, market it, and put it in place. In short, what the STEAM and robotics programs do is show students who are going to be working, now hold your breath here, folks, these students are going to be working in the year 2060, 2070, 2080, a few of our students will probably be working in the year 2200. It is a look into the future, and I have said this over and over again, that I truly believe that the students today are going to take our world and make it a little bit better than our generation was able to do. And so I'm going to turn it over. Who's up first? I didn't get the order of march. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Wilson to start the program, but you're going to see students from the elementary, middle, and high school. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy the show. Karen, I apologize. Mrs. Hips over there also with, okay. See Mr. Kenshin back? Mr. Lackman, Mr. Connell, you guys look like students back there.
This is the sequence of events. This is the blueprints that we use in the classroom as we give challenges to our students. We start asking, what is the problem? What are we doing? We start getting the students going, what are we going to do today? They start imagining, how can we make this? What do we do? At this point, there's a lot of conversation going on in the room. It's great to hear the language that's taking place. We plan. Students sit and they think out, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And they work with their teammates to do this. They start illustrating, designing. Then they go, this is the fun part, creating, hands-on. At times, they need to go back and replan because things don't always work the way you plan them. They make things break, mistakes happen. Now how do I fix it? They may have to go back to their teammates and go, uh-oh, now what? We improve. This is sometimes, we call this in my room a Band-Aid. How can I improve it? How can I fix it? Again, talking to your teammates, what do? I need some more of this, I need this. At the end, we take a minute and we all sit down at the tables and go, hey, what worked? What didn't work? What did you like about this? What could we do better going forward? And that's the blueprint that we use for all our projects. Now I'm going to hand it over to the students that are really going to show you some of the fun stuff. I'm going to start with Aiden, who is from the STEAM Club.
Using the engineering design process to create a recipe for glue. We ran 3 trials to see which recipe was the most effective. As we answered various questions, we learned about solutes, solvents, and solutions. As we worked to problem solve and communicate to complete our challenge. We also completed the Skittles challenge, as we experienced the differences between physical and chemical changes. I'm very excited to continue this year in STEAM. I love STEAM so much, and I like STEAM because I can communicate with my friends. I can work on my friendship and teamwork.
We explore the periodic table of protons, neutrons, and electrons while using our math skills and engineering designs to create junk atoms.
STEAM Club. In STEAM Club, we just completed making our bobbleheads. We are now working in teams to design launchers, smart houses, and coding of robots, to name a few challenges in this club. We learned teamwork and engineering skills. We have done so many very fun experiments and will continue to do more. Earthquake-resistant bridges. Together we learned about the causes of earthquakes, the types of bridges, and the world's first earthquake-resistant bridge. We had to engineer and design a bridge that was 10 centimeters long and could hold 500 grams of weight. As engineers, we had to make sure it was sturdy, stable, and flexible to withstand a simulated earthquake that could hold the weight for 10 seconds.
During this challenge, we worked in teams of 4. One person was the artist, another was the researcher, and 2 designers. We had to choose a type of volcano, research 5 facts about it, and engineer designs it. Then we had to test which materials would make our volcano erupt the best. Throughout our years in STEAM, we had a lot of exposure to robotics and coding. Here are 3 examples of our students have built and coded.
middle school, high school together, okay. Sorry about that. That's Mr. Kent's and his 3 sons.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? My name is Mr. Connell. I'm a high school technology teacher, and for the past 6 years, I've been running the high school robotics program. We're going to do a little presentation today talking about where our program is currently at, some of the different features. I have a student here that's going to talk about his experience, and then Mr. Kent is going to piggyback off of the presentation. So why robotics? Well, robotics helps students link together science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, STEAM. You heard that word a lot tonight. We're designing, creating, constructing, and programming robots that allows students to realize their aptitude and curiosity in future job markets. We no longer live in a world where robotics is science fiction. It's becoming part of our everyday life, and people like James could end up in a career in robotics or engineering in the future. Students make discoveries and connections to subject areas such as mechatronics, engineering, artificial intelligence, and competition robot design. We'll talk about the competition robotics team in just a minute. The East Islip Robotics program utilizes what's called the VEX Robotics Design System. There is a video link. I want to have you guys check it out real quick. Does this work on the smartphone? No? You click on the link over there? Okay, smart. Yeah, click on that link.
Hi everyone, Tyler here with VEX V5, the robotics platform designed for STEM students to help them develop crucial problem solving and engineering skills that'll prepare them for the real world. VEX V5 is the highest level of our pre-K through college continuum, focusing on classroom and competition solutions that provide a low barrier of entry as well as high enough ceilings to allow even the most experienced students to grow their STEM and career readiness skills. VEX V5 is metal-based with bolt-together steel and aluminum parts to create any mechanism. Students can begin at any level with more advanced engineering concepts as they explore and challenge robotic design and programs. The V5 classroom starter comes with everything you need to get your students started with a hands-on learning with V5 model. It includes the steel, hardware, and the tools required to complete the build. Once they've done so, connecting the V5 brain to the V5 controller allows them to wirelessly download and drive their robot. VEX V5 also incorporates coding using the free VEX Code V5 app for desktops, laptops, Chromebooks, and tablets. Here, students are able to easily create code sequences using drag-and-drop blocks, Python, or C++ programming language. The VEX Code app includes instructional resources written by educators in a form both teachers and students will grasp with ease. V5 also has a more advanced coding tool called VEX Code Pro that mimics the interface and tools found in industry-standard development environments. This allows students full control over the V5 platform while programming in C++, all while gaining industry-applicable experience. After your students have created their robot, you can take their learning experience to the next level by incorporating VEX V5 STEM Labs. These are free activities and lessons designed to make STEM education fun and meaningful to your students by challenging them to complete a task using what they've learned. The best part is that these supplemental lessons are designed to work alongside your existing curriculum, so your students will never miss a beat. If your students are looking to take their robotic skills even further, the V5 Competition Super Kit is perfect for them to supercharge their robot to compete in the VEX Robotics competition, held every year by the REC Foundation. In it, teams from all over the world machine a robot that can excel within a game's rules and regulations to score as many points as possible. These competitions ignite students' competitive spirit while also exposing them to valuable soft skills like communication, collaboration, and time management in a fun and authentic way. For educators, VEX also offers a free online professional development course.
The program that we use, the VEX Robotics Design System, we've been using that for 6 years. The advantage is that every year there's a different competition that's put out by VEX, so the students design and create competition robots to play that new game, and that's currently where we're at this year with Robotics 2. Skip to the next slide. We can skip this one too. All right, so our current courses and programs, currently in the high school we have Robotics 1, so if you're a student in 9th through 12th grade, you can join Robotics 1. There's a Robotics 2, which is more advanced level robotics. Hello. The prerequisite would be Robotics 1, so if you take Robotics 1 at any age level, you can then take Robotics 2. The core technology program is actually doing robotics this year too with the VEX Go robotics. We have a robotics club, an after-school club, and then in addition to all of that, we have the robotics competition team. So if you're involved in robotics at any level, you can be a part of the club, the competition team, and you can travel outside of East Islip and compete with us with our competition robot. All right, you skip to the next one. This is just a couple of quick videos and pictures from some of the things we've been doing in class. Right now, we didn't bring the robots over tonight because they're still in development, but this is just a quick video of one of the ones that we're working on. If you'd expand upon that and make it nice and big. So this year's game involves this almost like this disc golf type aspect here. So we're designing and creating robots that can gather those discs up off the ground and shoot them into these goals. There's points associated with everything, and it's a big comprehensive game. That's the annual game. This is from my intro class. So these guys are working with smaller robots, designing and creating them so they can learn a simpler game at this introductory level. We have a camera in the ceiling now, which is kind of neat. Go to the next one. This is from bottom. So you can see the game was a little bit different last year. Instead of disc golf, there was these mobile goals, these ramps. So every year, the game that's played within this game field is different, and the students have new challenges that... All right, you skip to that one. And then the last one. This is just a little promo video that one of Mr. Lackner's students created for us. All right, so that's this year's game. Those are the advanced robotics students working on their different robot designs. And it's going to be, a long time before we compete at our first competitions in January, so we have a lot of time to develop the robots. Let's skip to the next one. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Kench. He's going to talk about the middle school robotics program.
Thank you, Mr. Connell. Hey, everybody, Mr. Kench. I'm in my 25th glorious year here in the East Islip School District, and good news, I just keep getting better every year. So you can see here, go ahead and start that video for us, Mr. Lackner. We're very, very fortunate here in East Islip to be able to provide every one of our 8th graders with a minimum of one full marking period of robotics. I'm in a couple different technology education associations, and so far what I've seen is a maximum of about 2 or 3 weeks in the robotics lab for each of those other schools that I've been in talks with. They're floored when I tell them I have them for a quarter. We're in there for 10 full weeks doing our thing with the robots, so that's like a really great thing that we have here. I don't think people understand that. So it makes for a great feeder program for us to send them up to Mr. Connell with our VEX IQ system here, where I'm going to say it's like Legos on steroids. There's no tools needed. Everything's like snap it together and unsnap, which is good because when you make a mistake, and in the beginning you make a lot of mistakes, it's easy to take them apart and then fix it. When they get up to Mr. Connell, now they're doing nuts and bolts and screws, and you make a mistake and now you got a couple days of work behind you to fix it. So what we just saw there was the basic bot. That is the start of what you see here, which is the claw bot. So the basic bot, we play this little soccer game, one-on-one. They see who can score the most goals in a 3-minute period. And then we move up to where we add this arm and the claw that you can see up here, where now they have to actually move these cubes around and put them in different spots and move them around. And then we have, after this one, you're going to see what's called the fling bot, where we only make that in robotics club because it's pretty involved. It takes a long time. These kids are in there every day after school putting the fling bot together. And as you can tell, once this video rolls here, it's a million moving parts. As we look at this, and we're like, wow, okay, that's great. You guys make toys, and you play with toys. This is the carrot at the end, right? Before we get to all the fun stuff, right, we got to learn about gear ratios and torque and figure out how, wheels and pulleys and all those simple machines work. And then as we move on from there, then it's like, all right, now let's put a couple of wheels together with an axle, and now put a motor on. Now let's change the gears. Is it faster or is it slower? So as we progress on, they're hopefully going to keep this stuff locked up here, so when they get up to the high school, they're like, oh yeah, I remember that, and this doesn't have enough torque, we got to change the ratio of gears. And again, we're just trying to feed that high school program and make them as, give them as many students as we possibly can to get up there, and every single 8th grader that comes through, and I teach all of them except for 2 sections. Mr. Lackner teaches the other 2, and once I leave the robotics lab, he's going to roll in there with his group. So then at the end of this year, we can say, okay, every 8th grader that just came out of here did a full 10 weeks in the robotics lab. If you have any questions about it at the end, you can just go ahead and ask Mr. Connell anything you want. Now, on our presentation, though, you'll see our emails, and everybody has parents there now. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to give me a call, give me an email. If you want to bounce in, I'm more than willing to listen to you and hopefully take some good info and make it work for us here on the other side. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Connell here.
I just want to give it over to James Kelly here as a senior, really advanced level robotics student. He's been with the program for a couple of years now, so he's just going to say his little take here.
Right, James. Thank you.
So, as Mr. Connell said, I'm Jim Kelly. I've been in the robotics classes this is my 2nd year now. I'm a senior. I'm really looking forward to taking our robots that we develop in class to the competitions in January, and I think it's a great opportunity for all the students to have at least Islip. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's our contact information. I just want to take a minute to thank the board, upper level administration, and Mr. Stanton for really supporting the program over the past couple of years. You guys have truly helped it grow to where it's at now, and we hope to continue that growth into the future. So thank you very much.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. I did forget to acknowledge Mr. Jason Stanton, Mr. Mike Hansen, and Mr. Rich Zizowitz, who are here, 3 of our directors. Could we give them a nice round of applause? 7 years ago, we surveyed the students, and this was a big, this was one of the things that students said they wanted. And I had never heard of it. It wasn't there when I was in school, but just because it wasn't there when I was in school doesn't mean that this is going to have an impact on their life. And again, it's so much more about the learning to work together in a group setting. Break out of those rows, those rows and those chairs that we locked the kids in for years, and you sat there like a factory assembly line, and get them using their minds together. That's the future, that's their world, and we need to support them. And to have, adults like this who will guide them and be enthusiastic. And the good news is, we're looking at expanding. We have a beautiful robotics room at the high school, but we do have some room. We're looking to make a bigger one. Things are looking up in this area, and we are trying to offer the courses that the students need for the future and the courses that excite them. But like everything else, you have travel sports. Parents invest a lot of money in travel sports. You have extra music lessons and vocal coaches. You have the playhouses. The playhouses like the one over in Oakdale, where students who are interested in those things can get something extra. But I'm not going to name everybody, but Sunil, my friend Sunil, come up over here. Say hello, Camille. Sunil, he came out of nowhere one day. I don't even remember where we first met, but he was so excited. And he was telling me about this program. I got to be honest with you, I really didn't understand what he was talking about, but I went to see it one day, and I saw these young men and women doing amazing things. And, I call this sort of our travel robotics. Because you heard it, we have classes, we have clubs, we have a robotics competition team, but when we first tried to get robotics off the ground in schools 20 years ago, it was so expensive and we overextended ourselves, and it just was not feasible to continue. We're building it back in a sensible, fiscally responsible way, but there's also a world out there outside of school And if this is what you love, like I have 3 boys, they each love something different, try to get them a little extra. So it's in the introduce everybody, and could we put on the show that I saw at the library a few months ago?
It was actually quite a few years. We met in the library. We came to the library once quite a few years ago.
So the first time was the library,
Yes.
and then through COVID, you just kept appearing out of nowhere.
Yes.
You would never let me forget about it. And your diligence and your tenacity.
And late night texts and all of that, yeah.
Late night texts, but I loved every one of it, because look at the smiles, and these young men and women are going to be the ones who take over our world, and I am excited, and you're going to do a great job, so let's hear about it.
Okay. So awesome to hear everything that's going on in the middle school and high school with robotics. Amazing to hear everything that's happening at the elementary level, which just getting all that excitement around all these STEAM topics. And at the elementary level, we started to say, hey, we want to take that excitement and and have a competition also. We want to compete. And then we learned that there is a competition out there, and we learned that other schools are competing out there. And we said, we want to be a part of that. And so we've signed up and joined the first LEGO League competition, which is regionally managed across Long Island, and we compete with other teams across Long Island, and it's a competition around engineering, research, and a robot game. And rather than hearing it from me, we can hear all about the competition from the team members themselves.
Hello, my name is Sonali Kamath, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about First LEGO League. First LEGO League is a competitive program all over Long Island. There are 4 parts to First LEGO League. The first part is robot design, the second part is robot game, the third part is the core values presentation, and the 4th part is the innovation project. My favorite part is the core values presentation. The rest of my team will tell you a little bit more about each one.
Hi, my name is Jane Elliott, and I will be telling you about the first part of the LEGO competition. The first part of the competition is the core values. The core values are impact, discovery, fun, innovation, teamwork, and inclusion. My favorite one is teamwork because we get to work together and have fun at the same time. And this year for the competition, we are doing a comedy skit all about the core values.
Hello, my name is Sechin Kamath. I'm going to talk about the second part of First LEGO League, which is the robot design. The robot design is all about having your robot and using it to complete missions to get points. We show the judges our robot. We explain how it works. We also show them our programs, explain how those work, why we program that way, and how it helps us finish those missions as efficiently as possible. My favorite part is the coding, because I really enjoy the versatility that you can use between those blocks.
Hello, my name is Antonia Lezette, and I'll be talking about the third part of First LEGO League, which is the Innovation Project. The Innovation Project is a challenge given by the judges each year. Last year's challenge was cargo and how we can deliver it more efficiently. This year's challenge is energy and how we can use it more efficiently too.
Hi, I'm Nick Salvaggio, and I'll be talking about the final part, which is the robot game. In the robot game, we have to use attachments and code that we make to do a set of missions in 2.5 minutes. So as you can see here, we have our board. It changes every year, so we have to completely rebuild everything with our robot every year.
Excellent job, guys. So we've been involved with the FLL for over 5 years now across Long Island, and as you can see clearly, it's not just robotics. It's about research. It's about presentation skills. There are so many aspects to this program that we think benefit our children, will benefit our children well into the future. And we'd love to see this come to the school in East Islip at the elementary level. We're getting so much interest from different families wanting to get their children involved, and we can't grow any further. It's, you know, like we can't fit that many kids in our homes. We're hosting our meetings. So we try. So we'd love to see this grow within our district. There are so many opportunities. This is a global program. There are over 15,000 teams across the world. Just last year, there was 80 teams across Long Island, and that is growing every single year. Some districts have multiple teams. So super happy to be here. Thanks for having us. And let's give another hand to the kids here.
Thank you.
And we have a nice segue into the next portion of my report. And you're going to notice my last few reports, my goal is to let other people speak so I can listen. You know, look at what's on the table in front of you. Listen to what, you know, the ladies and gentlemen spoke about, you know, who work here. It's about creating opportunities for children so that they can learn and learn together and go out and make the world a better place. But the harsh reality is we have to pay for it. And we have to, you know, the community here has been very supportive. And look, I hear a lot of opinions and a lot of statements, but let's just talk facts for a minute. When I arrived here, I was excited. The East Islip I knew was a roll up your sleeves, get to work kind of community. When I look at our first audit reports, because auditors are very important. Auditors are like the conscience of the organization. I was like, holy cow, what did I get myself into? And in all honesty, we probably would receive a D- if it was school and a grade. But because of the strength of the Board of Education, you know, the folks sitting to my right, and, you know, Mrs. Carney, Mr. Behe, and Mr. Montori before that, they had a vision. You know, Mr. Carpark used to like to say, we want to be just a little bit better than everybody else, and don't waste money. You know, we should be very proud of the fact that since 2014, the average school tax, and I stress school tax, I can't speak for anybody else, the average homeowner's taxes for the school has gone up approximately $180. Yet, take a look around at the facility. Take a look around at what this community has built because you work together. And, you know, we got an audit report tonight. And I'm going to let Mr. Harrison introduce Mrs. Marianne Van Dyne, who's going to get up and speak to you about our financial report card. And, you know, the folks to my left, and, you know, they're the ones that made this happen. The folks to my right had the vision, and the folks that came and spoke tonight are the ones that care about this place and work with the kids. And I'm lucky because I just got to show up every day and watch wonderful things happen. You know, I forgot to mention, this might be the time for the kids to go home, get some ice cream, and get to bed. Audit reports are very exciting, children, but you really should be over 18 to listen to them. But in all seriousness, if we are not fiscally responsible and if we don't make good decisions, we lose great programs like this. It gives me great pleasure to turn it over to my friend and colleague, Mr. Steve Harrison, who's going to introduce Mrs. Van Dyne.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Van Dyne is here today to discuss the external audit that was conducted over the past several months. We met with the audit committee on October 12th, and after the presentation and during the board meeting, the board is going to be asked to accept the recommendation from the audit committee to accept the financials as presented. So without further ado, welcome Ms. Van Dyne.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Steve Harrison and the board. Thank you, and Dr. Dolan and the rest of the administration. I appreciate all. Did I give you a promotion? I saw all the smiles. I'm like, okay, I just promoted you. You're welcome.
I got my GED.
So, yes, as Mr. Harrison said, we did meet with the audit committee 3 weeks ago. We went into detail of the 2 audits that we did do, one being your financial statement audit, the other one being your extra classroom audit. And you received the best opinion you could get as a school district, which is called an unmodified opinion. We had no problems giving you that clean opinion. The books were in great shape. I wanted to thank Maria Brabender, who's in the audience. She's the treasurer. She worked really well with my audit team to make sure that we got the audit done timely. They worked really well together. You have a business office that really cares. You know, we audit over 45 school districts, and, you know, when we come into your business office, we can tell that they want to do the right thing and they really take the audit seriously. So kudos to the business office. So in addition to doing our financial statement audit and giving you an opinion, we also look at your internal controls. And there again, a great report. We had no issues with the internal controls at the district. You have very strong controls. There was one minor recommendation, which is a good recommendation. You did receive a lot of federal monies this year due to the free meals that were given out of the school lunch program. So you do have additional monies to reinvest in the school program. So I know that Mr. Harrison is in the process of coming up with a plan to reinvest those monies into the school lunch program. Financially, we also look at your financials. There again, we looked at the short-term goals, the long-term goals, and you do have a solid long-term plan, both for your capital needs and your financial needs. So you do, as you know, have capital reserves, which will help you with your capital needs. You also have other reserves that are available to school districts that will help you for any long-term expenses that you may incur that will help you not have to raise taxes. So that's really important to have that long-term plan, and the district has been following that long-term plan over the years to build that strong balance sheet. And then also the other thing that we were very good to see is that your unassigned fund balance, which is really your savings account, is at that 4% level that you're allowed to have. And the financial advisors really look at those 2 pieces when they come in and they determine what your ratings are if you're going to, for your borrowings. They want to make sure that you have a strong balance sheet, that you have strong reserves in place, you have that unassigned at the 4% level, and that does help you. And as you know, you have been going out for borrowing, so that does help you with that impact. So overall, the financials were in great shape this year. You had an increase of about $700,000 in your general fund this year, and overall, the financial situation here has been getting better and better every year, and I think it's due to the financial planning that you do, and you always are on top of that. The audit committee was great. We met with the audit committee. You have community members on that audit committee, so they were able to give some feedback also, and we had some dialogue on the audit, so they were very happy with the results also. So all in all, a great report once again, and I wanted to thank, the school district, the business office for all the help that they did to get the audit done in a timely manner.
Yes, we have a particular community member who comes in and likes to say that we are over the legal limit in that fund balance. Are we within the law on that?
Yes, you're within the legal limits for both your unassigned and all your reserves.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I'd just like to point out that to get to this point, there's a lot of efforts on a lot of people involved, including Ms. Van Dyne and her firm, R.S. Abrams. Mr. Zachary and Mr. Sassone both sit on the audit committee, as well as the support from the Board of Education. The burden of the audit really falls on Maria Brabender, so I want to recognize her efforts during the audit process, as well as Terry Farrow and the rest of the business office staff. Additionally, we do have 3 community members part of the audit committee, Ms. Rice, Ms. Spina, and Mr. Madden, who sacrificed their own time to meet with us at least 3 or 4 times throughout the year to get to the point of recommending the audit tonight. So I do want to appreciate and mention everybody's efforts. So thank you to those involved.
And thank you, Mr. Harrison, for all your efforts as well.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'd also like to just stress one more time, we've gone from a D- to the best we can get, but it does not happen by accident. Listen to who we're thanking. We're thanking community members who have the courage to run and sit on the Board of Education. We have skilled administrators who think long-term. We have employees who work hard to make sure we're doing this correctly. And we have community members that come into these meetings and listen, on the audit committee. And again, like I said, Mrs. Van Dyne is like the conscience of the school district. And we have, she takes a vow, she takes an oath to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. And that's simple facts, folks. It's not emotion, it's nothing, but I'm extremely proud to just, like I said, I showed up every day and I'm surrounded by a wonderful community and wonderful employees and wonderful, caring professionals who, look, we do the best we can. I'm going to own up to a very big mistake in a little while, because we do make mistakes. But I will tell you this, if we make them, we fix them. And if you go back and look at where we were in 2010, 2012, 2014, and where we are today, it's because of the entire community, not one person, not one group, but the entire community. And Mary Ann, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Mary Ann, one more question, sorry.
Sure.
We have a fund to pay out retirement benefits.
Yes.
And we expect a lot of retirements in the next 5 years.
Mhm.
And the board has anticipated that. And I believe, what's an expected expense of over $6 million upcoming in the next?
So you're referring to your compensated absences, your vacation and sick time that you have to pay out. So you do have monies earmarked for that. Currently, you have a long-term liability of about $6.5 million, and you are about 88% funded in that reserve.
So that's money that doesn't have to come from the
Right.
assigned or increased taxes to pay in the future. Because we
Exactly.
have 88% of it already put away.
So you can appropriate that reserve for those expenses, so you don't have to raise the taxes.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your work.
All right, thank you.
I'm just going to ask, do you want to leave this stuff here tonight so they can play with, the adults can play with it when they leave, and then come get it tomorrow? Because it'd be kind of tough to break it down, and we don't want to make you guys stay the whole night. Unless you guys want to stay, we'd love to have you. Can we take a 2-minute break so they can break down so the kids can go home? I mean, as much as, let's do it, guys. Thank you very
Go right
much.
ahead. presentations. Our robotics teams, thank you. Okay, public comments. Public comments on agenda items only. In the back. Want to come up?
Look at the agenda.
Okay, those robotics kids did wonderful tonight. So I'm here to discuss the recent draft policy of the East Islip School District's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This draft, I understand, is coming to a vote soon, and so we need to really take a look at this. First, I'm 27 years in education, both the city and the state, and I hold multiple licensing. I probably also check many boxes because I have nieces and nephews who are Muslim, and I have Colombian, and I have an immigrant, a first-generation immigrant. I could check a whole bunch of boxes if that's what you want. If you want boxes, I can fill them for you. However, our board, they're not filling the boxes because they're like 5 white men. They're not filling the boxes. So I just want to make that obvious. You're violating your own DEI policy right now. But there are, however, they are Board of Education members that are giving their time to us, and I think that they've been fleeced like much of the district has. So let me explain what that means, is that they were told that it is a mandate that they file this DEI policy. It is not. What I just handed them is a framework from the University of the State of New York Corporation, Board of Regents, New York State Education Department. And it's a suggestion, and a matter of fact, on the page 1 of this policy, it clearly says, paragraph 3, we recognize that the decision to adopt a DEI policy, as well as the contents of such a policy, are ultimately matters of local discretion. There's no mandate here. There's no reason to adopt it. Perhaps there's money tied to it. That's another topic. However, I would like to ask if any of them know who David Kirkland is? No? David Kirkland? No. Oh, that's terrible. Lester Young? Lester Young, no? Okay, well, Lester Young is in charge of the Board of Regents, and they should know that since they're working for him. And David Kirkland wrote this for Lester Young. It's the curriculum for New York State. I gave this to John Dolan last year and to some members of the board. It clearly says that they are going to empower students to be agents of social change. Anyone coming from a country with socialism knows that we don't want this, because agents of social change means socialism. They want to teach the children how to rally, they want to teach the children how to protest, and they don't really want to teach the children proper history. So, moving right along, we have this issue here where we have this policy now that's forming, and we don't have a reason for it, because it's also said here by Lester Young that all of the school districts already abide by what's going on. We have great diversity and we have great inclusion, and he says that in here. So why do we have to enforce this and advance this is beyond me. But nonetheless, guess what else about David Kirkland? He's a CRT author, critical race theory. He's an author of that, and he's an avowed Marxist. He says it all over his Twitter. So therefore, he wrote this curriculum, and he wants this implemented, and he wants the DEI policy along with it. And I think that might be getting into dangerous territory, especially for our wonderful teachers who have been dragged out recently into cultural proficiency trainings. Some districts as long as 4 years. A matter of fact, North Babylon School District just pulled out 11 and 12-year-olds and took them for training without parental informed consent, and they watched videos on white privilege, gender and sex theory. This is what they're training the children, and the parents had no clue. So this cultural proficiency book is what's taught by April Francis Taylor. She's the head of DEI at BOCES. Natalie McGee.
These people come and they pull out like 10 teachers at a time so that they're in small groups and not all together, and then the teachers feel kind of uncomfortable to speak out against it. And that's how they get them, with a nice slow boil. So I think that we need to reevaluate what we're going to be implementing in this district, because if you turn it into a policy, it's kind of like you're using, circumventing the legislature basically, and implementing things that are not going to be helpful, because we're labeling and identifying children all the time. Right? Who's overweight? Well, what is overweight? That's subjective. Oh, who's this gender? Well, I'm not sure, because there seem to be changing genders now on a daily basis. So this is very subjective, and when things are subjective, it causes more issues. If we want to stay united, we don't want this. We don't need to be divided. This isn't diversity, equity, inclusion. This is divided, excluded. And the word equity keeps coming up in this DEI policy over 5 times. Nothing about equality, which means that they're already in violation of certain codes to begin with, like the USC 2018 for Title I. They're against that because that's all about equality, not about equity. And they're also against DASA. They're violating Statute 13 because that's also about protecting, not harassing, and not calling people names. So we need to be really careful about this. And especially, I notified Alexis White, our senator, and she was informed by John Dolan that there is no CRT. There's no CRT, he said, but this is CRT. So he lied to her today. He lied to her. And on top of that, she was informed that there was going to be a protest here. Oh, we were going to protest CRT. I'm sorry, but everyone here looks very peaceful to me. So our own senator is being misinformed. Our elected officials need to know what's going on, and we need to stop this from happening. So I ask you, please, board members, do not be fleeced, do not be misinformed. I don't know why you are being misled by either the lawyers or Mr. Dolan himself, but this is the truth. You have it now in front of you. Do not pass this policy, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Agenda items? No. You'll be next.
Good evening. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. In many ways, the most important of the mottos the United States has. We have a few, depending on the circumstances. Our country's always been diverse from the first settlers here. That's the nature of, colonies made by religious people fleeing religious persecution, wars, and what have you. Our traditions are already drawn from many cultures, right? Christmas trees come from Germany. The federal system of government is borrowed in many ways from the Iroquois. Jazz comes from African American traditions. Food from all over the world, right? We have a halal takeout place right on Main Street. That's from South Asia. Sriracha from Vietnam. Potatoes from South America. We are diverse as Americans. It reflects an essential truth about both nature and human society, that we are stronger and more resilient together, embracing all of our diversity than we are apart. The underpinning of America, therefore, is that diversity should be included in a greater whole. As a nation, as a people, we are greater than the sum of our parts. And a fundamental principle of our nation is equality under the law and an opportunity as well, which is equity. That's what that word actually means. Therefore, far from DEI being un-American, I would argue that it is fundamentally the very core of what it means to be American. It's not a secret that ideologically, I probably don't agree with anybody on the board too much. We vote for different parties. But I do want to hand it to them that they've recognized this essential truth that diversity is our strength and it needs to be acknowledged and celebrated. Frankly, the DEI policy that they're proposing is very simple in comparison to a lot of other districts. But it's a good start, it's a good foundation, it's a good building block. It's a recognition that our community deserves a place where everyone can feel welcome. It recognizes the reality that our nation, and indeed our town, is becoming more diverse. It means that East Islip is joining districts across Suffolk in acknowledging this reality, including the districts in which 2 of our sitting board members have either worked or are currently working. I'm not sure if you're retired yet, Mr. Carpenter. Sorry. About a quarter of our school district's population is non-white. My son's generation, he's 7, is minority majority. Those are the simple demographic facts of the United States in the year 2022. You can pretend that's not the case all you want. That's reality. We can either celebrate the positive contributions of everyone and embrace that diverse future, or we can stick our heads in the sand and draw unpleasant connections and attention to our community like Smithtown and Connecticut have recently. I don't want to think of East Islip like that. I would like East Islip to be known for the good things and not the bad. Maybe that's just me. I applaud the board and hope that they vote yes today.
Thank you. Ma'am, did you want to speak in the back? Oh, I was talking about it, but if you'd like to, you can too. Whoever wants to step up.
Thanks for letting me speak. So of course, we believe in diversity, right? We believe in that. Like, it's very important. We accept everyone, every race, color, everything. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is a certain type of ideology that is going to be promoted through this DEI. So I have a couple of questions. One, is there any funding that is contingent upon the adoption of this DEI policy? Yes or no? No? Okay. Is the adoption of this policy coming from our district itself, or is it being pushed by NYSED?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Is Ingerman and Smith advising the board that you need to pass this?
Not that we could really talk about conversations with our attorneys, but...
So it's not a requirement or mandate, right? Okay. Great.
Correct.
So DEI sounds amazing on paper. And it would be great if it was truly about everyone having to feel equal and included, but it's not. DEI is a lens by which the state wants teachers to teach. The description of the policy is both vague and broad, which can be a slippery slope for extreme ideologies. I feel instead of teaching kids about sexuality, anti-American values, oppression, and privilege, because that's what this will lead to, we should be teaching them that every child has equal opportunity to be successful. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
First, congratulations on your audit, and as taxpayer, appreciate you keeping the taxes low without an increase. So,
thank you.
I too have some concerns. Listen, the results were just in for and it's not just New York State, it's across the board with these COVID lockdowns and the reading and math scores. And I'm impressed with the robotics and that, and I feel like those are great moves forward. Personally, I think the CRT and the DEI are moves backwards, okay? I personally would like to see the curriculum under the federal law, USC 20-1232, and that is the entire curriculum, because there are things in here that are under the guise of other areas, and I have a couple of questions about this too. Some of them were just addressed, but is there a mandate coming from the state? I think you've already said there is not.
Directive, I believe is the term.
I'm sorry?
Directive.
It's a directive from the state, okay. And I'm questioning not the legality of you guys, I'm questioning of the legality of the state enforcing these programs on a school district and making it contingent on what they're dictating as what they want taught in the schools. And I understand that New York State has certain programs tied to funding, but I'd like to know how far this goes.
as far as funding, there's no link. And, one of the things, curriculum has been mentioned a couple of times. And one of the things that, again, I'm extremely proud of is we work together with our partners, the teachers and the teachers union. And within that unit, there are divergent opinions, and they write curriculum together, and they don't do it, under the cloak of darkness and in secret. And, we believe that everyone's created equal, and, we are not going to allow anyone to force any sort of political agenda on us. And that's simple, and that's pretty much all I have to say about it.
Okay, well, I appreciate that because there's a lot of that going on in Washington, D.C. and in Albany. So I do appreciate you. Just shut me off. Oh, no, okay. All right, there we go.
The microphone's the least of my problems. No, we don't live in Washington, and we don't live in Albany. We live in East Islip.
Okay, and that's what I'm asking here. There's a couple of things that have happened in this district that didn't go to a community vote. One of them we won't bring up tonight, but you know which one I'm talking about, okay? Our needs are different than other communities. And I think when people talk about inclusion and all this, they should spend an afternoon with the football team, okay, and see how accepting they are. They're all brothers. They don't care about their skin color. They don't care about their ethnicity. They just go out on that field and they protect each other and they want to win. And there's brothers. There's a camaraderie. So I don't think the equality and all that is even a question in this district from what I've seen, okay? I've welcomed everybody into my home, as my boys have welcomed everybody into their home. There is nothing, so I think some of this, where this comes from, is, it's also about people being misinformed, okay? In my personal opinion, and then seeing it through their own vision, and some of that is tunnel vision. I'm just asking that this district, because I understand there was a committee that was put together writing a policy, that there was surveys put out, okay, that only 84 members of the community actually returned because there was a glitch in the system, and it was 100 questions. And I'm asking that we have more involvement at the community level and get everybody's opinion on this, as opposed to just a select few that have an agenda. And that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you.
Because honestly, one more thing. I think we have much bigger problems, not only in the state but across the country. We have kids that have been impacted by mandates, school closures, for the last couple of years, and we have a lot of ground to make up. And I think our time is much better spent academically, getting back to the basics, like what we learned, okay, and learning our history. And I'm not saying, listen, as far as I'm concerned, I know a lot about what's happened in the past, and I don't think I was ever jaded or not informed. I think we need to get back to the basics and have, a curriculum that teaches the facts, okay, as opposed to us trying to change those facts and make, some kids feel apologetic. I am not apologetic for who I am, and neither are my boys, and we have no intention on being apologetic in the future. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay. Certified personnel. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leaves of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the certified personnel attachments. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leaves of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the non-certified personnel attachments. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the labor agreement between the Board of Education of the East Islip Union Free School District and the East Islip Teachers Association expired on June 30th, 2022. Whereas representatives of the respective parties have engaged in negotiations for a successor agreement to the expired labor agreement. Whereas the representatives of the district and the association reached an agreement that has been memorialized in a memorandum of agreement, which memorandum of agreement has been reviewed by the Board of Education. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the East Islip Union Free School District herewith approves the memorandum of agreement herein above referenced and authorizes the expenditure of funds necessary to implement said memorandum of agreement, and be it further resolved that the President of the Board of Education and the Superintendent of Schools are hereby authorized to execute the new collective bargaining agreement incorporating the terms of the memorandum of agreement on behalf of the Board of Education. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion. All in favor? I think we approve it. I was going to say something, but if you like.
No, that's fine.
If you want to say something now, you can.
No, we'll do it after.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
We have been negotiating with the union. I think it's going on 3 years. Even though the agreement just expired, there was one that expired a couple of years ago, and we worked out a little bridge agreement. And at the time when we started negotiating, the district had certain goals that we were looking to meet, and the union had certain goals that they were looking to meet, and it was not an easy negotiation to fit both needs. And it took a lot of time, it took a lot of negotiation, it took a lot of compromise, and I would like to thank the executive committee for the union for all the work that they put in over these years to make this happen. Ms. Maloney and Mr. Nesky especially, all the work they put in a lot of time, and this deal would not have happened without the work that they put in and the whole executive committee, so thank you. As well as the Board of Education, Mr. Carpluck, and I have to mention Ms. Carney and Mr. Montori because it was a 3-year negotiation, and they played a huge part in that in the years past. So, in the last, I guess since the summer, we really worked hard at it to make it happen, and we wanted a deal that was fair to our teachers. They deserve that. They work hard every day, and they've done a great job dealing with COVID and educating and keeping our children safe every day. So we'd like to thank our teachers, and that was certainly part of the negotiation that we knew we wanted to do. And we also struck a deal that we feel is fair for the taxpayers of East Islip. So we're very proud of that. And again, I'd like to congratulate our teachers, the board, administration on getting this done because it was very difficult, and in the end, I think it worked out for both parties. Oh, and by the way, next, we were supposed to have our attorneys here to give a presentation to inform the public. We're not just going to go into the dark on this. The attorney could not make it tonight. It was last minute. The deal really just came together today, got finalized on certain issues, so we do expect our attorney to come to the next board meeting to outline for you the terms of the agreement and the benefits and costs.
Well, Chris stole a lot of what I wanted to say. I just wanted to say that the deal is a fair deal for the teachers, it's a fair deal for the taxpayers, and it sets us up to be even more stable financially in the future, and that really was the goal 3 years ago, is to set the district up for financial stability for years to come. And I just want to say thank you to Chris, the board, Mr. Dolan, Steve Harrison, everybody on this side who's been working hard for 3 years to get this done, and of course on the other side, it was an adversarial relationship, but it proves again that you can be adversaries but be respectful of one another. We've had a lot of heated discussions, but it never broke down, and I know Ms. Maloney may take a lot of heat as a union president, but she's definitely a great advocate for her unit, and it's been an honor to work with her. And I just wanted to, I think sometimes you have to, again, we can be adversaries, but we also can be respectful of one another. So I think it's a good deal, and I think it's a good deal for the future, and that's really what we're here for, right? We're here to build for the future. Our time is coming quickly to an end, but the kids are going to be here, and we should be thinking about them. And just like the last speaker said, you know, that's what's great about this town. We all kind of do it for kids. You know, I always tell the story when I first moved here and I went to the soccer fields my first day, and there were thousands of people down there. I said, what the heck is going on here? And there were adults out there, and they were coaching kids that weren't their own. And I said, this is the place I want to be. And, you know, we always seem to come and rally together with things like that. So, you know, it's been a pleasure. And I want to say thank you to the board, thank you to the teachers union, and thank you to the community.
Yep.
You know, again, I want to thank everyone, and, you know, once again, Mrs. Van Dyne spoke about it, the long-range planning. You know, this deal is going to give us something that, to the best of my knowledge, and I asked Mr. Montori, our historian, you know, we will have what's tantamount to labor peace for 5 years, which will allow us to cement and, you know, allow the new programs, which are, you know, I'm going to do my best to invite 2 other programs here in my last couple of meetings, programs that we think are good for kids. We think that we are in a position now to weather whatever economic cliff or economic storm is, we all believe is on the horizon. We're not beholden, you know, we're not worried about, I'm not going to sit here, you know, we're not a district that hides behind, oh, we can't plan long range because of, you know, the state and its budget. And we believe that this deal is good now, it's good for the district now in 5 years and 30 and 40 years down the road. It takes a tremendous amount of effort and a tremendous amount of courage to do what these folks did. And I am just very proud to have at least, you know, they allowed me to sit in on it. You know, but again, I want to stress, we have put ourselves on strong financial footing moving forward. And as Mr. Carplex said, it's okay to disagree, but please do it respectfully.
And I apologize, I don't think I mentioned Mr. Dolan when I was thanking everybody, and I can tell you, yeah. He was working on this and thinking about this, I think 24/7, and I know that because he would call me and tell me about it every day, about different ideas, and some of the ideas were incorporated into the deal, some of the ideas were not, but every day. Thank you, Mr. Dolan, for all the time that you put in as well.
Your wife would text me and say, please call him, get him out of my house. He's annoying me, okay? And I wanted to say that on camera.
She's calling you now. So again, thank you to all involved. It was a pleasure working with you, and I'm glad we were able to get this done. And for years now, we don't have to, we know we have labor peace, and we're very happy to get it done. Consent agenda items.
Mr. Zachary, I think we should remove 9.2.
Agreed. So we will remove 9.2. Consent agenda will be 9.3 through 9.20. Well, one we're gonna read out and vote. So consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
9.1, be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Audit Committee, the independent auditor's report for year ending June 30th, 2022 from R.S. Abrams and Company, LLP, be accepted by the Board of Education. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Again, thank you to our Audit Committee for all the work that they put in, Mr. Harris and his team. A lot goes into that. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves Board Policy Number 0105, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity Education. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion.
Yes, before I vote, I just wanted, first of all, people that spoke before, thank you for speaking up. The other thing is, I don't know if you actually read what our proposal was, which is very different than the Department of Education. If you read that, you might have a different tune there. But before I vote, I believe that we're okay as it is right now. And it's not mandated. At this point, it's not needed. So that's the reason for my vote, which you'll hear soon.
Yeah, I also want to add to that as well. Can you guys hear me out there? Like anything else, this is a pretty nebulous plan from the state, and of course, as always, the devil's in the details. Unfortunately, we don't know the details. To what extent is teacher training tied to this? We don't know. To what extent is the curriculum tied to this? We don't know. Is the curriculum going to be political and divisive? We don't know. It's not state mandated. It's not time sensitive to the least. So at least with my vote, I cannot consent to a program rooted in politics, the state and national level. Also, if you read the DEI initiative from the state, I encourage you to look at the website and read it. It is riddled with, pretty obvious to see, riddled with assumptions about race, racial theory, and it's hard to deny the polarity associated with it. And one of the things that I would love to see in our school is a step away from this. So with my vote, I cannot consent to that.
You want to read it? No? No. I'm just going to read, and I think this sort of discusses our approach, because as Mr. Rulon said, this policy is much different than others. The Board of Regents launched an initiative to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in schools across the state. The Board of Regents has directed schools to develop a policy that advances the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The school district, along with the assistance of our legal counsel, developed a policy which outlines its commitment to providing equitable access to programs offered by the school district. The school district has a history of providing equal and equitable opportunities to all students. The policy does not change how the district currently provides educational opportunities to each of its students in the school district. Thank you. And again, I'd like to thank everybody for getting up and speaking. I heard a lot of good things when you started talking about diversity and inclusiveness, and who would be against diversity and inclusiveness of all our students, which I think most of the speakers said as well, and I agree with them. And it's my understanding that each district adopts their own policy. This is not some state mandated, and that everything that was read is included. The district itself will do what East Islip wants to do and recognize the parents and their concerns in East Islip. I don't think any of those other things, as far as socialism, talk about misinformation, that doesn't make any sense. That would not be happening. That's not in the policy here. Certainly, you could read it. You won't see anything like that. So East Islip will do their own, and will not. Okay. I haven't heard CRT being mentioned in a long time, and certainly won't be part of this policy. I could promise you that. So if it passes. So.
And one other thing, I think this is a good time for, Mr. Zachary loves when I say this, the old social studies teacher in me, and I stress old, in a week and a half, people have a chance to go and express their opinion in a truly American fashion. Unfortunately, most Americans aren't even registered to vote, and those who are registered, most of them don't vote. It's easy sit back and be a critic, a pundit, be on either side, but what kind of, what fascinates me is we give people the opportunity to speak, and they don't. You have the opportunity to vote, and this is your chance on November, is it 9th? 8th, thank you very much. I stressed old, remember that, just stressed old. On November 8th, go out and vote for the candidate who supports your belief, and we move forward.
But just to confirm, no curriculum changes?
Absolutely none.
Anybody else?
Well, this is obviously a tough vote, and I understand the concerns, but, you know, the line in the public content, the school district already has a history of providing equal and equitable opportunities to all of its students, and we see that, and we saw it tonight. The robotics team, the STEAM club, sports, and the policy does not change how the school district currently provides educational opportunities to each of the students in the school district. So, although a tough vote, I like to get ahead of the state, and sometimes it's better to get out in front of these things than to wait for the state to mandate something that you might not want to do.
You know, Mr. Karpuk.
That's how I feel about it, and that's why I'll vote for it.
Mr. Karpuk, you just made an interesting point. And we do have a history of this here. We appreciate the local control, but we also know we're part of a bigger system. And you know, when we receive, you know, when as much as I like to joke around, when we receive directives from, you know, for lack of a better term, our bosses, you can follow them, because then once you're in line with where we're going, once you're in the arena, you have a voice. And I would much rather be, you know, the man or woman in the arena, as Teddy Roosevelt wrote, than standing on the outside throwing rocks in. And again, like I said, it's okay. It's very American. It's absolutely American to have debate and discourse and disagree. It's un-American to shout each other down and be disrespectful. So, you know, this does not change anything, but it reaffirms our commitment to being fair, decent, and kind, nurturing, and supportive of our children. And it absolutely does not change a thing.
I'd like to, technology. I'd like to also thank Mr. Ruin and Mr. Sassone, who worked to build a policy for our district that is different than the state directive, and it leaves room for us, for East Islip to be East Islip, and that was what we were hoping to do. So, like I said, I'm a yes, but that's why I'm a yes.
It wouldn't be done unless we could be East Islip, right? If there was something coming from the state that came from Albany, you know, this is something we could shape ourselves, and like all the speakers said, you know, East Islip is diverse, East Islip is inclusive, and let's just keep working on it, doing the same things that we've been doing, and this just kind of puts it, in paper, but, Mike?
No, I'll agree with my colleagues. We summed it up here, you know, again, like Mr. Karpuk pointed out in the public comment, you know, it's on. I'll get closer to it. So again, like my colleagues mentioned, Mr. Karpuk, Mr. Zachary, and Mr. Ruin, and Mr. Sassone, you know, we reviewed this policy, we've looked at it. You know, again, in the public comment, it's saying here we're reaffirming our commitment. And as Mr. Karpuk just said a minute ago, you know, we want to try to get ahead of things if we can. And I think doing this, again, as Mr. Dolan said, it gives us that local control to craft that message. So I'm going to be voting in for this policy.
If anything happens in it that we're not happy with, again, we can change it. We have the power to do that.
Correct.
Love it.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
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 Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves the attached list of appropriation changes for the 22-23 school years. Take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the East Islip Union Free School District, herein after the school district, has been contacted by the trustees of the Robert Kelleher Private Foundation, herein after the foundation, regarding an offer to provide scholarships to graduating students from the class of 2023, and whereas the foundation was created to provide scholarships to students from the community Mr. Kelleher loved, and whereas the intention of the foundation is to offer several scholarships to deserving students who met certain criteria, including but not limited to GPA, community service, extracurricular activities, letters of recommendation, financial need, and future academic interest. Whereas said scholarships will range in the amount of $5,000 to $7,500 and are renewable annually based upon the maintaining of a GPA of 3.2 or higher. scholarships are contingent upon the proof of college acceptance, college registration, and deposit. Whereas the school district will be responsible for distributing scholarship information and application to students, whereas interested students will email completed applications directly to the foundation by the November 1st, 2022 deadline, right around the corner. Whereas the interested students will email completed applications directly to the foundation by 2022. Whereas the foundation is responsible for the administration of applied for and subsequently awarded scholarships. Resolved that the East Hempstead Board of Education hereby acknowledges and approves the new scholarship being offered to select graduating students from the class of 2023 that meet the above referenced criteria. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a very, very special thank you to the Robert Keller Private Foundation for their very generous donation. Yeah.
In addition, I'd like to thank Mr. Stanton for his efforts in putting this together. I know it's been a multi-year process, so thank you.
Awesome. All right, November 18th, in case anybody didn't hear that. So if anybody's out there interested in applying for the scholarship, it's a lot of money. It's a very generous donation and very much appreciated. So please contact administration on getting an application and applying for that. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the donation of approximately $8,796.44 from the middle school Spotlight School Store. This donation will be used to purchase 8 benches to be placed around the middle school. The code to be increased is 1620-200-080000. Taking a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Where are these, does anyone know where these benches are going? Like just randomly around the school? I just want to know.
They're going to have some in front, some on the some by the bus loop between ECC and middle school, and then some on the other side by the, towards the cafeteria area. I don't think they finalized the map, but they're really nice benches, and it'll be good for the kids after school waiting, to get picked up and stuff.
You might see Mr. Dolan there next spring when his card doesn't work anymore to get into the building.
Are we going to...
See him out of the bench.
Is Mr. Hanson going to plant some gourds around the new benches?
Mr. Hanson's going to plant cactus. I don't know anybody else who grows cactus on Long Island, so we're going to...
Oh, all right, just making sure.
Thank you to all that work in the school store, that purchased items there that made this donation possible. So it's a very generous donation, and thank you to all that put it together. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the donation of complimentary transportation service from Suffolk Transportation Service for the Catch a Career Breakfast, which was held on October 20th at the Irish Coffee Pub. Suffolk Transportation is a member of the business partnership. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And again, a very special thank you to Suffolk Transportation. Suffolk is an outstanding company. They do a great job keeping our kids safe, getting them to school every day, getting them home, and they're always very generous to the district. So thank you to Suffolk Transportation. Our favorite. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts a donation in the amount of $8,013.83 from the FTK Foundation to be used to cover transportation costs for the elementary schools end of the year 2022 field trips. Attached is the breakdown of the donation per building. These funds will be deposited into the building student activity account. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Want me to go first? FTK is just, it's a wonderful organization. They do a lot of events. They just completed the carnival in September, and they do their spring gala is always one of the events of the year. And I know, Ms. Pepe, I know you were doing also the concession stand at the football game last weekend. So FTK and are great partners here in East Islip. They donate a lot of money to great things for the students. And if you get the chance, please go to their events because they are outstanding. I guarantee you'll have a great time and doing a great thing for the district and donating to our own kids because everything goes back to our kids. So thank you to the FTK, the foundation, the executive board of FTK, all the hard work you do, and it's great to see this very generous donation to go towards. So thank you very much, Ms. Pepe, and all of FTK for all you do.
No, I think it fits with the theme of the night. FTK was founded at the darkest moment, you know, when the district was faced with losing its extracurricular programs. But from that darkness rose this beautiful light of giving, caring, sharing. You know, I'm going to say it publicly. Cheryl, we've had some knockdown dragouts. We've had a lot of laughs. But, you know, you epitomize what they are. You know, serving as president, you care, and you roll up your sleeves, and you go to work. Quite frankly, you don't care who you're working next to, and you even put up with me. So thank you to you, thank you to FTK, and God bless Steve. That's all I have to say.
Well, Cheryl's kids make up a large portion of the population here in East Islip, so thank you for your support, Cheryl. If you ever left town, we could close the building.
But we'd lose all that, we'd lose a lot of state aid too, so.
Yes. So again, thank you, FTK. Old business.
I got old business. Mr. Dolan, a question for you. So we had some mixed messages that were going out from the district regarding Halloween and costumes. Can you clarify for us? What's the,
You guys
how are we
remember,
proceeding?
you remember the part of the program where I said I made a huge mistake? Here's where I own up to it. There's always been debate and a little bit of rancor about costumes in East Islip, and quite frankly, every school district. I know I hear these sunny reports from everybody from other places, and then I sit in meetings with people who actually work there. Okay, so again, I made a terrible mistake. I remember when I first got here, we had a meeting, we discussed this, we had a plan, and honestly, for the most part, things went pretty well. Coming out of COVID this summer, look, everybody was euphoric, we were coming back, and, you know, I dropped the ball. No meeting occurred. There was no explanation. Yes, you know, I am going to stand by, and I do believe, because running a school is a lot different than running your house. Okay, there are similarities, but on a much, much grander scale. And at any given moment, adults here are responsible for several hundred, 1,000, 1,100 kids who they care about, and we don't want to see anybody get hurt, and they are your most valuable resource. So anyway, the message went out, no costumes at the elementary level, but you can accessorize, and it went down a long list of accessories. And I have to tell you, when you take those accessories and put them together, you have a costume. But, we can't have any sort of weapons. We can't have any sort of, you know, apparatus that blocks
Mask, ironically.
masks and things like that. Very ironically, thank you very much. You know, at the elementary level, what most people don't appreciate, and I certainly didn't appreciate it as a high school principal or a high school teacher or a middle school principal, or middle school dean, I'm sorry, the amount of time you spend on a daily basis wiping noses, tying shoes, and trying to teach at the same time. And the root of the no costumes was because it became arduous to try to navigate the day. Now, I took umbrage with someone who said to me the other day, we have to put fun back in school. These kids have no fun. I have walked these halls, and I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm seeing fun. And we have 3 spirit weeks at the elementary level and 2 spirit weeks at the high school and middle school level. When I was in school, we had homecoming, and that was it. We dress up. We have pajama day, crazy hair day, crazy this day, mix and match day. we have an awful lot of opportunities for our children to come to school and learn and enjoy it. And quite frankly, some of our teachers enjoy it too. So I'm going to go out on a limb here. I will stick by what we said, no costumes. And then I'm going to turn around and say, look, Monday's going to come, and I trust in the goodness of this community. I can trust in the goodness of the people in this community. If you would wear it to Crazy Hair Day, or you could wear it to Pajama Day, or you could wear it on any of those other days, let's do it. If you have to dial it back a little bit, it's because remember, if there's, God forbid, ever an emergency and we got to move your kids quickly, it's going to be real tough if they're wearing these costumes that we can't move them quickly. If we, if your child's sitting behind a kid in class who's got one of those big Green Bay Packer cheese heads and they can't see the board, that's not right. But if, I'm going to take this approach, and I'm also going to volunteer. What it said in the message was, you can wear accessories, clothing. I'll use the example, if you wear black jeans, a ninja shirt, a ninja wristbands, you're a ninja. Okay? Those are the accessories. They're very practical, and you can wear the jeans other days so parents don't have to buy multiple, things. And let's see how the community does. If things go well, great. And I don't want people screaming. I don't want people yelling. I'm going to ask people to please, please, please use the common sense you use on all the other Spirit Days we have. And I apologize for my mistake. And my punishment is, if we have to form a committee to sit and talk about this next summer, I will come out of retirement and volunteer to chair that committee.
You're not a resident.
I'll rent a house. I'll rent something. I'll rent a room in Mr. Montori's house. But again, when you read that, the no costumes was designed to make sure that we don't come in with these overblown, because that's what started to happen, these overblown, these things that we cannot manage, we cannot handle, and kids cannot handle. Take a look at what your costume is, take a look at what you have, accessorize appropriately, and we can have a lot of fun. No one will get hurt. And then you can go out and enjoy the trick-or-treating or whatever else we do. But when you sit back and look at all of the events that we have in school, like I said, you have 15 Spirit Days at the elementary, you have 10 at the secondary level, in addition to whatever they do on Fridays. I'm not sure, but I can't keep up with what they're doing. I apologize from the bottom of my heart for not being out in front of this. It was my mistake and my mistake only. Quite frankly, one of many I've made. But when you make a mistake, you own it. We have a solution. What the message said was, you can accessorize appropriately to enjoy the day. Accessorize appropriately to enjoy the day. And again, if you've ever been in a school, especially in an elementary school, and if you have these long, flowing, crazy things, and those kids start running at recess, you got potential for disaster. But I'll make it a point on Monday to drive around. I'll go to every school. If there's a problem, I'm going to own it. I take great pride in my principals, and I understand, they are constantly tuned into health and safety, because they know once there's health and safety, there can be learning. So the simple answer is, please don't wear these costumes that are going to impede your mobility, impede your ability to move around, that lock you in. But accessorize appropriately, just like you do on Pajama Day, Superhero Day, Crazy Hair Day, Mix and Match Day. I don't even know what other days. So
So I think to sum up, Mr. Dolan, the community wants to know, what are you going to dress up as?
I'm actually going to put on a shirt and tie and come as a superintendent.
There you go, perfect.
John's personally responsible for 2,500 Google hits on what is a costume tonight in East Islip. 9 years I've been trying to get costumes to be allowed in school. And we got $60 million bond. We have 3 teacher contracts in those 9 years, and I couldn't get costumes.
You know what I'm saying? If you accessorize
All that we've
appropriately,
done.
if you-
Admitted to making a mistake, which is just crisis.
There's no more Halloweens, though, for him. He's leaving. So I couldn't get costumes for 6 hours a year, but it is what it is. Anything else on the costumes? Any other old business?
One thing, and it's not really old business, it's business that's coming up. The AMVETS 18 on Carlton Avenue is having a haunted house between now and October 31st from 6 to 12. The article's on Parent Square. I think a family bundle is $15. That includes mom and dad and children under 15. And then there's a costume party there where you can wear whatever costume you want. October 30th from 12 to 5. So if you could support the vets, that would be great.
Accessories or costumes?
Costumes.
There's, the costume is accessories all put together. There's also a Halloween party at the Legion Hall on Saturday from 11 to 2. I'll be there. They have a dartboard. You can throw darts at me if you want.
I'm there. Any other old business? New business?
So for new business, I just wanted to remind everyone, they've probably seen it already, Parent Square. Tomorrow night at the elementary schools, both for CES and RCK, they're combining theirs, as well as Timber Point and JFK are combining their trunk or treat tomorrow night. So again, that's for the K through 5 buildings, so I just encourage those families to come out.
And costumes are allowed.
And costumes are allowed, so this will be a great event. Mr. Carpunk right now is not having
If
this.
you accessorize correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
But wait a minute. Tomorrow night, Friday and Saturday night at the middle school,
Is the play.
the high school Motor on the Orient Express.
Yes,
And they will be accessorizing.
yes, you can get tickets at the door.
Our plays are amazing. The kids do such a great job. The kids and staff, what a great job. I love going to the plays. Any other new business?
I just want to say that today, that was great. We got to do more of that. I keep saying that. That was awesome. Those excited, enthusiastic teachers with excited and enthusiastic kids. The robotics thing is fantastic. It's everything you would want. Good job, Mr. Dolan. You did not make a mistake with that one. No more. We don't need any comments. I want to get out of here tonight.
Anything else? Any other new business? Ms. Stephanie? Well, there she is.
Yes. I just want to clarify at this point because it was a little bit confusing. Zachary, at first sounded like you were agreeing on shelving that policy with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then it seems like maybe you changed your mind, so that did pass.
I didn't change my mind. I agreed with you guys when you guys all said East Islip is diverse and inclusive already, and I said let's continue to work on that. Yes, it did pass.
Okay. I also want to know about the, hold on, it's a Gender Sexuality Alliance Club. Is that in the high school and middle school? That was given an allocation of $800.
That would be the Gay Straight Alliance Club, and that's a yes.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The Gay Straight Alliance, that's a yes.
Yeah, is that in the high school or middle school?
High school.
Okay. And I can only imagine what is being spoken of in there, but at least make the public aware that that is a club. And I'm just really disappointed.
You know what, Mrs. Asher?
Yes.
I had the honor and privilege, Tori, don't go. We had the, please, I apologize. I was at the Connecticut board meeting the other day as a Connecticut resident, 39 police officers. Was not proud of a lot of things I saw, from the adults. The student got up and spoke, and what that student said, looked at a couple of board members and said, I know your kids come home to a loving and supportive family, and the sarcasm was appropriate. But the student said, school is my safe haven. School is where I feel safe and supported. Unfortunately, I might not get that at home. And, I'm very proud to have seen the evolution of that club, not just here, but in Sachem and in Smithtown. And what it simply is a group of kids who have something in common, trying to find their way in life, and quite honestly, trying to find a partner that they love, and they do wonderful things. They raise money, they do little fundraisers, and they donate, they do fundraisers and they donate to causes. They do not try to do anything other than be nice to people around them. They don't try to influence them or exert any sort of will. And I have to, I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to go into all the stories. I'll be more than happy you can call me tomorrow. But I will tell you something right now. A public school, can't believe it's the first time I've ever gotten that. A public school is a place to go to allow kids to learn and grow and respect each other. And that is a club that saves lives. My own cousin said to me, my cousin was 20 years older than me, he said, John, if I had a club like that, it probably would have saved my life, because he wound up in a very bad place. And it's a club like any other club. Like I said, they do fundraisers, they take care of each other, they march in our parades, they support our teams, they support our theater and our music programs. So I'm not going to sit here and let anybody disparage that club. As much as, I respect you. No, guys.
And listen, I'm not disparaging.
Guys.
I just wanted to be
Hold on a
aware
second.
of it, and I wanted the public to be aware. But listen,
I respect you.
I completely understand, and that sounds incredible and amazing. I just want to make sure that they're not actually talking about sexuality. It's okay for them to have a place and to have friends and things like that.
Listen, we follow. No.
Right.
Guys, it's a look. Amanda, like I said, you know what?
I just wanted to know if it was in middle school or high school.
But Amanda, let's finish this conversation
very
tomorrow,
rude.
because you've been you've been a wonderful advocate.
And by no means did I mean that to offend anyone.
No, and listen, hey guys, hey guys, stop it. Amanda, you've been a wonderful advocate on a number of levels. And it's a learning experience. So, thank you very much.
All right, thank you for listening to our concerns. Obviously, we're a little upset of the way the vote went, but there's nothing we can do about it. Thank you so much.
Stephanie, next.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Charles Kalinowski. Thank you for allowing me to speak. First off, STEAM was awesome. Kind of remind me of the show BattleBots. You ever see BattleBots? When they make the robots and they crash into each other. Pretty cool. I'm just going to continue to stay positive, and I truly believe the best is yet to come. God bless this community, and may God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Charlie.
Hello. Thank you for the vote on DEI. I want to say that as a community member with a child in the elementary school and someone who plans to be here for many years to come, that I see great things with regard to diversity, equity, and inclusion in our school. My daughter came home recently and told me about a teacher who read to her a story where some of the characters spoke Spanish. And she was so excited because the teacher asked her how to pronounce certain words. And she came home and her identity was entirely affirmed. And she told me, Mom, I want to learn Spanish. I want to have a teacher come in and teach me Spanish. It's not just enough for abuela to teach me Spanish. I want, to really have a teacher that does that. And that is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And there's a lot of talk about what it is, and that is fear-mongering. And that has no place here and should have no place here. We are a diverse community, not as diverse as the greater society, and there is a lot of growing that needs to continue to happen. I do not see, a society in East Islip that is not in need of improvement. We need to improve. We need to do better. When I see a child unwittingly in blackface, when I see children peacefully protesting on Main Street and have adult men yelling douchebag at them, I say we need to change. We need to grow. We need to do better. And I hope that in the coming years that I live here as a homeowner, as a parent, as an interested community member who is engaged in the betterment of this society, that things do improve and that things do change. And I am hopeful. When my child comes home and is affirmed about her Spanish, when I see the initiatives of kindness and healthy choices, my daughter is so happy in this school. She has fun. She doesn't need to come dressed in a ginormous costume to have fun. She loves learning. She feels affirmed. She loves Crazy Hair Day. And she loves STEAM. She loves thinking outside the box. She is affirmed in her school system. And I want her to be affirmed in her greater community too. And sometimes that does not happen. And we need to recommit to doing that. Not just now, but in the future. This is a great small step. And I would like to see that small step grow. Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you. Thank you for getting up there and saying that. That story about your daughter is exactly what my view of what the policy is and what it will do. More things like that, not only for like Spanish and your daughter, but all of our diverse community here in East Islip. And those are the types of things that is why I voted yes for it tonight, because that's what it will be. And not those other ridiculous things that some people try to get up there and try to just to rally support amongst themselves. That's not what it will be. So thank you. That's exactly what it's going to be, and thank you for saying that. And,
thank you.
Can I say one thing? Yeah.
Thank you. And sort of my last thought is I kind of move into a volunteer role, sitting on a bench, according to Mr. Carpark. That last discussion about the Gay-Straight Alliance, I hear so much about the gap and COVID and what it did. The best thing for kids is to be able to come to school and feel part of something. And let's just, check your political agendas and other agendas at the door for a minute. I can guarantee you that a club like that saves lives. Because if a child is sitting in a room and is in love or has feelings for someone, and other people shout them down and tell them they can't be like that, they become isolated, they drift away, and then terrible things happen. And, spend some time looking in the mirror and ask yourself, why do you have to judge other people? And I will say this, Amanda and I, we had a lot of conversations during COVID. And that back and forth, she had a question, we're going to answer it, but we are going to defend everybody's right to come here and learn, and again, have a safe haven, have a place they can go where they find people like themselves. And, the minute you try to force your agenda on someone else, I'm going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem with that. But I can guarantee you, in every school across Long Island, that Gay Straight Club is a lifesaver. A lifesaver. It's a bargain. And, we can continue to move through it.
We said no.
We've already said,
We said no.
And I think it's, maybe it's time to wrap it up, because we can't, as much as we can't listen to everybody's personal story. Our curriculum is written by professionals professional teachers in conjunction with administrators. It's overseen. We have nothing to hide. And quite honestly, I think, we took a step today to ensure ownership of our curriculum. And you must be in the game to change the game. Get out and vote for the right person, vote for your person. But, here in East Islip, we will play by the rules, we will play, and we will defend the right to be East Islip. But, the one thing we've always said about these meetings, and I hope it continues, there were a lot of stories, I heard a lot of stories, and I saw news clippings. These meetings have been polite and respectful for the most part over the last 8 years. Keep that tradition going. Please listen to each other, enlighten each other, respect each other, and like I said, the Gay Straight Alliance is a life-saving club, and I will support it to the day I die.
Well, it was eye-opening, because I thought we were way past where we were, but apparently that shows why we need the policy. Maybe the kids can bring home inclusivity to the parents. Maybe we could work it from the bottom up. But anyway. The next Board of Education regular business meeting will be held on Thursday, November 17th, 2022 at 8 p.m. Motion to adjourn. Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Everybody have a good night. Happy Halloween. Where you